Myasthenia gravis. What do you got against my acetylcholine receptors, huh? What have I done to you that you should attack my acetylcholine receptors? What have I done to you to earn this disrespect? My neuromuscular junction was fine. The neuron releases the acetylcholine. It diffuses across. It hits the acetylcholine receptor. We have neuromuscular transmission. Why can't we all get along? What have I done to you that you should attack my acetylcholine receptors? The etiology of myasthenia gravis. I have antibodies against acetylcholine receptors. Why do I have antibodies against my acetylcholine receptors? I don't know. It's an autoimmune disease. What causes it? I don't know. You know, if we know what causes it, we don't call it autoimmune anymore. We call it a disease of blah, blah, blah. The autoimmune disease is meaning you become allergic to your own body. Why am I making antibodies against my own acetylcholine receptors? I don't know. I don't know why we're making antibodies against my own acetylcholine receptors. I just know that they're getting destroyed. Why am I making antibodies against my own acetylcholine receptors? I don't know. It's just the way it is. But the problem is, it makes me weak. I got antibodies. What a beautiful picture of a neuron, huh? I got acetylcholine going across, and I got antibodies attacking the receptors, and the acetylcholine receptor antibodies are damaging the receptors. And of course, I can't have neuromuscular transmission without receptors. I can't play a game of ball if I kill the catcher. Next slide. People come in because they have weakness. Guillain-Barré starts out at the toes and goes towards the nose. This is the opposite. Myasthenia gravis. Why does it start with ptosis? Because you can't keep your eyelids up if you cannot stimulate the levator palpebrae superioris. The levator palpebrae superioris is, look at my eyes. Neat, 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 neat. Neat, neat. I can't open my eyes if my levator palpebrae superioris is weak. I can't open my eyes if my levator palpebrae superioris is weak. Double vision. Double vision is because of my extraocular movements. My eye muscles are weak. My eye muscles are weak, so I cannot focus. I cannot focus. Nasal speech means as I'm talking, the stuff is going up my nose in the back. Snarling smile. You know why? Because I left my own goddamn face up. Wow, I cannot. What's your new nickname? Droopy. Wow. Wow. Snarling smile, nasal speech, droopy eyes. Now, this can be just limited to the eyes. It can be only eyes. And now the significance of the only eye people is diagnostic testing. The best initial test, acetylcholine receptor antibodies, may only be positive in 50 to 70% of people when it's limited only to the eyes. When it becomes generalized, the acetylcholine receptor antibodies will be present in greater than 90% of people, if not more. So that's why it starts. Remember, the deep tendon reflexes are intact because you have enough neuromuscular transmission for there to be normal reflexes, and nothing happens to the pupils. It's the extraocular movements. You see this where it says no sensory abnormalities? That's because myasthenia. My means muscle. A means without. Stenos is the Greek word for strength. Stenos. I'm without strength. Asthenia, muscles without strength, myasthenia, nerves without strength, neurasthenia, platelets without strength, also known as weak platelets, thrombasthenia, without strength. That's a $5 way of saying weak. That's weak. That's weak. That's weakness. That's why this is myasthenia, because this is exclusively a motor problem. Not a sensory problem. It's all motor, so it's muscles without strength. You can have it only in the eyes, but remember, it's not the pupils that gets affected, it's ptosis and it's the extraocular muscles. I can't focus if I have ptosis and my eyes are not coordinated. It becomes generalized in myasthenia because it goes on to hit the other muscles. So therefore, myasthenia gravis can become generalized and often does. Now, Eaton-Lambert, our next slide. Eaton-Lambert is different because in myasthenia gravis, I'm working it, I'm working it, I'm working it, I'm working it, and working it, working. Where's Eaton-Lambert? Oh, Eaton-Lambert, 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 ready? Eaton-Lambert syndrome. Associated with small cell lung cancer. Associated with small cell lung cancer that used to be called oat cell carcinoma and gets stronger over time. Eaton-Lambert, oat cell carcinoma, stronger over time. Oat cell carcinoma, stronger over time. Oat cell carcinoma, stronger over time. Myasthenia, electromyography, stimulate, Myasthenia, decreased strength over time. Myasthenia, decreased strength over time. Eaton-Lambert, stronger over time. Eaton-Lambert, stronger over time. Myasthenia, weaker over time. And remember, aminoglycoside antibiotics. Aminoglycoside antibiotics, gentamicin, tobramycin, amikacin, gentamicin, tobramycin, amikacin, gentamicin, tobramycin, amikacin have been associated with a myasthenia-like condition. Gentamicin, tobramycin, amikacin have been associated with a myasthenia-like condition. Blocks neuromuscular transmission. Myasthenia gravis. Weak muscles, and it's very serious. It's going to put you in your grave. Good obvious. Now, here, next slide. The best initial test is not the tensilon testing. Tensilon testing, edrophonium, I give you edrophonium. I give you edrophonium, and for a while, what happens is that edrophonium will inhibit acetylcholine esterase, and this will end up raising the acetylcholine levels. It increases acetylcholine levels, edrophonium, temporarily, short term. However, the edrophonium or tensilon test will be positive in 80 to 90% of the people. That is not quite as good as the person who's got the acetylcholine receptors. However, there's also more false positives. There's also more false positives. Now, acetylcholine receptor antibodies is the best initial test. Edrophonium is an alternate test. Now, the chest x-ray is done, our next slide. The chest x-ray is done because people not only have thymoma, but people have thymic hypersplasia. So we're looking at the chest x-ray and the chest CT to look for the thymus. Now, thymoma and thymic hyperplasia is no good. However, if you have thymoma or thymic hyperplasia and we remove it, your myasthenia may go away. Your myasthenia. The single most accurate test, see this? Electromyography. I stimulate the muscles, and what ends up happening is it gets weaker, 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 weaker. Okay. Now, myasthenia gravis, tensilon testing. I give you edrophonium chloride, and I look at your eyes. Ugh. How come you never look at me anymore? I am looking at you. How come you never look at me? I am looking at you. How come you never look at me? I am looking at you. I give you edrophonium. Yep, I'm good. No tensilon. How high can you hold up your arms? I give you edrophonium. Pardon me, excuse me. How much can you hold up your arms? Hold up your arms. I give you edrophonium. Hold, 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 hold. Tensilon. I have these droopy eyes, can now open the eyes. The droopy arms can now open the arms, hold up the arms. So the whole base of tensilon testing is that the ptosis goes away, the droopy eyes goes away, the droopy arms goes away, and I can hold my arms up. Edrophonium testing. edrophonium testing. Now, the initial therapy is like edrophonium. The initial therapy is pyridostigmine and neostigmine, pyridostigmine and neostigmine. Pyridostigmine and neostigmine, what these do is they long-term inhibit acetylcholine esterase. They long-term inhibit acetylcholine esterase. What we mean by long-term is it lasts for 6 or 8 hours, whereas Tetsalon lasts for 30 minutes. Edrophonium lasts for 30 minutes. Pyridostigmine lasts for 3 to 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. Now, that's the best initial therapy. It raises acetylcholine levels. That's the best initial therapy. It raises acetylcholine levels. That's the best therapy. It raises acetylcholine levels, lasts for a couple of hours, and that's the best initial therapy. Now, if there is no response to that therapy, and you are under the age of 60, we should remove the thymus, thymectomy. The problem is that by the time you get to be 60, you're already set in your ways, and your thymus removal will not help you. So therefore, if you are young, remove the thymus. And you know what? 3/4 of people get an improvement. If you're already over 60, you can't do that because it won't make any difference. Then in the short term, steroids will work, but you know what the problem with steroids? They're very deforming. Steroids will inhibit these acetylcholine receptor antibodies, and you'll get some improvement. But I'd like to keep you off of steroids if I could. That's why if either the thymectomy doesn't work or you can't do the thymectomy, we use alternate therapies such as azathioprine, cyclosporin, cyclophosphamide. Azathioprine, cyclosporin, cyclophosphamide. Azathioprine, cyclosporin, cyclophosphamide, and azathioprine, cyclosporin, and cyclophosphamide are alternate therapies to the steroids to keep you off of steroids. How do I get you off the steroids? Azathioprine, cyclophosphamide, cyclosporin. How do I get you off the steroids? Azathioprine, cyclophosphamide, cyclosporin. Best initial therapy? Pyridostigmine and neostigmine to raise the acetylcholine antibody levels. Pyridostigmine, neostigmine to raise the acetylcholine levels. If you're under 60 and it doesn't work, remove the thymus. If you're over 60, you can't remove the thymus because it doesn't do anything for you. You have to try steroids or the steroid alternatives. Well, what is this thing down here that says plasmapheresis and intravenous immunoglobulin? What's that for? Plasmapheresis and intravenous immunoglobulin is for acute myasthenic crisis. What happens if your myasthenia is so severe, so overwhelming, so horrible, that it actually flat out paralyzes you? What if it's so severe, so overwhelming, so severe, so overwhelming, it flat out paralyzes you? Plasmapheresis, intravenous immunoglobulin, to remove the circulating antibodies. Plasmapheresis and intravenous immunoglobulin, acute myasthenic crisis, overwhelming, horrible, paralyzed. Best initial therapy, pyridostigmine, neostigmine. If it doesn't work, remove the thymus. If you're too old and thymus removal won't work, steroids. Steroids are deforming. So what do we use? We use pyridostigmine and neostigmine and followed by steroids and azathioprine. Azathioprine, cyclosporin, cyclophosphamide are to keep us off of steroids. My muscles are weak. Myasthenia gravis, ptosis, diplopia, extraocular movements. Sometimes it becomes generalized to the muscles all over. If it's localized to the eye, acetylcholine receptor antibodies are going to be positive in only 50 to 70%. If it's generalized, acetylcholine receptor antibodies will be positive in most people, 90 to 95%. That's why acetylcholine receptor antibodies are a better best initial test than edrophonium. Edrophonium is 80 to 85% sensitive and has false positives. Best initial therapy, pyridostigmine, neostigmine. Myasthenia gravis. Best initial test, acetylcholine receptor antibodies. Failing this therapy, do a thymectomy if you're under 60. Those are the two most likely questions.